Bowen, and she's had a great history in environmental issues, and today we're going to talk about some of those issues. I know that you're very much interested in global warming, alternative fuel sources, different things like that. So I'd like to ask you a question, Nellie. Why, as a person living in Cincinnati, Ohio, should I be concerned about global warming? I know all about what's happening at the poles and all at the North Pole and the South Pole, all that sort of thing. But certainly as a person in Cincinnati, Ohio, that doesn't affect me much, does it?
It certainly does. Global warming, which is produced by the buildup of greenhouse gases, is affecting every area of the world right now, and also the polar regions. It's affecting every species on the face of the earth. Global warming causes climate change, and the warmer the earth gets, the more violent the storms. And we've been having very violent storms. The weather will get wetter and wetter and wetter with floods. Other areas will have severe drought and starvation. At some areas, we'll have searing heat waves, and forest fires will be common. More violent hurricanes and tornadoes, which are already happening, will be taking place, and tropical diseases such as the West Nile virus and also malaria will be more widespread as the mosquitoes that spread those come northward because the climates are warmer. So yes, it affects you here in Cincinnati.
And in fact, we have seen West Nile virus appearing in Ohio and all throughout the Midwest, and this is all due to the changes in the climate?
Yes, it certainly is, because everything changes. As the weather gets warmer, things move northward for cooler weather. So it causes problems for us.
Explain to me about some of the alternatives. I know that one of the problems is that we're burning fossil fuels. We're producing carbon dioxide, which warms up the atmosphere. So what kind of other options are available? It seems to me that we're sort of tied as a culture. We're sort of tied to automobiles. We're sort of tied to heating our homes a certain way. What other possibilities are there?
There are a number of possibilities. Now, they're working on fuel cells for cars. Now, at the present time, those aren't perfect. They have more work to do on that. But on other things, we have a wide range of alternatives. There's solar power. There's hydroelectric power, which can be produced any place there's falling water. Another source is from landfills, biomass. It's methane, which can be used to produce fuel. When you produce fuel with it, when you use it for energy, it doesn't go up and into the atmosphere and contribute to global warming. We also have an old source, which is windmills, or now they're a little more up to date, but it's the same principle, using wind for power. But one of the best is also the oldest, and that's geothermal. Geothermal was used by the Romans. It was used in Pompeii, and all it requires is drilling into the earth. This can be done anywhere on the face of this earth. And when you drill down, you bring up water that's heated from the core of the earth. And when you use this, it's also, after it cools, it's sent back into the earth to reheat. None of this is going to cause pollution. It's never going to run out because it's constantly renewable. Coal and oil and the other sources that we're using now are finite. And within a period of 50 years, our oil will be gone. Our coal will be gone in 200 years. So our sources we're using now will soon be gone.
And can you explain to me why we're not currently using these sources? It seems like a reasonable thing to be using geothermal. I know that in Iceland they use geothermal quite regularly, but it doesn't seem to be anything that's really caught on in the United States.
No, it hasn't. And I believe the reason it hasn't is because there's more money right now in oil. And these will not be used until they're economically feasible. Germany has invested deep into wind power, and they made it profitable for companies to do this by giving them a discount, giving them a tax break.
Mhm.
Well, if we will offer an incentive to companies, we can do this. And once you set these up, it's not something that you have to keep spending on. Once the turbines that we use for wind power, once you set them up, they're good for years and years. Once you drill the well for thermonuclear, it keeps producing. It'll never run out. These are clean sources.
Do you know how long it would take if we did decide to switch over to another alternative source of energy? How long it would take for the carbon dioxide to be cleaned out of the atmosphere so that the global warming would reverse?
It would take a long time, a very long time, because now the oceans are becoming filled with the carbon dioxide. They can still accept more, but they're going to reach a point of total saturation. And when they do, then the carbon dioxide that normally goes into the oceans will be coming back into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming. Also, another thing that's causing this is cutting down the rainforest, because the way we've handled this in the past, green plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. Well, now, as we cut down the rainforest, as we use more of the land for agriculture, not for green crops, but for raising livestock. When you do this, you don't have the plants to absorb the carbon dioxide. So it goes into the atmosphere.
Now, I've heard some people say that one of the things we need to do is to, rather than using gasoline, for example, to power our cars, they use alcohol, but that really wouldn't help, would it? Because alcohol gets converted into carbon dioxide when it burns, right?
You can use ethanol at the present time. You can use part ethanol and part gasoline. Now that does cut down on the emissions on the ethanol. And it's another thing they're using right now for fuel is willow.
Oh, yeah.
Farmers are planting a type of willow bush, which they're using now, along with the oil or coal, to produce electricity. There's a lot of sources out there, and if we make it economically feasible, we'll start using them.
What about something like hydrogen? I've heard a lot about hydrogen, and I guess that has to do with the fuel cells you were talking about.
It doesn't work perfectly yet. They're working on it, and it will be better as more research is spent on it, but at the present time, it has work still to be done.
What kind of future does it hold if I guess we need to change our ways, right? If we expect to have a good future. I was wondering if you could sort of, I know you have sort of a summary that you'd like to talk about as far as the future of our environment.
Well, we have actually 4 scenarios. Conservation is something that we should be doing now on a large scale. I know I recycle everything that I possibly can, which not only conserves those items, but it conserves energy that goes into making them. And that is one way that we can help. A lifestyle change is something else. Instead of driving, sometimes you can walk. Instead of going to work, there are more people telecommuting. So you don't have to go anyplace. You work from home. I did that. Carpooling, which people don't seem to want to do, but it works. It would help. And growing your own food. That will help. Living closer to work. Another thing is using the alternative fuels. That will make a big difference. But if we don't do this, or a combination of them, then there's a 4th alternative, and the 4th alternative is deprivation. We will do without. And you can. I mean, before, work was done by hard manual labor. Crops were plowed by using horses or oxen. When I was born in Kentucky, at that time they didn't have tractors. They used a horse to pull the plow. It'll work, but it's not what we want. There's better ways. And but if we don't use the alternative fuels and clean up our atmosphere, we're also going to have other things. That's going to be severe drought, starvation, which comes with the drought like we've had in Africa, severe heat waves, people dying in that, severe flooding, and pestilence, which comes with this. So we have a future. It could be bright, and we could have a lot of the same things we have now. And as you get into it and improve it, it can be a lot better because we'll be doing it with clean fuel.
All right, Nellie, thank you very much, and we will certainly, it gives us something that we need to think about. Back to the regular meeting.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
Good morning. Medical errors kill close to 100,000 U.S. hospital patients each year. To err is human. Therefore, mistakes happen in the field of medicine as they do in any other endeavor involving humans. It's alarming to realize to what extent these mistakes occur. It's so alarming that the Institute of Medicine demanded major changes when that report was issued 2 years ago. Wednesday's Enquirer reports that JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, disputes that claim. JAMA reports that medical errors kill only 5,000 to 15,000 patients a year. Oh, that makes me feel a lot better. Not. The good news is that the holistic health care movement offers many choices for a path to wellness. True health care relies on self-care and positive lifestyle choices that remove the obstacles to health and eliminate the risks and causes of disease. The holistic health practitioner recognizes that my biochemistry is different from everyone else's biochemistry. What works for me may not work for everyone. For instance, I have never taken an aspirin in my life. My headache is not caused by an aspirin deficiency in my body. Yet an aspirin is the magic bullet treatment used to deal with the symptom. Treating the symptom rather than treating the cause necessitates more and more aspirin, and that's not the choice for me. We must shift the responsibility from doctors and drugs and take back the responsibility to get well. It's my responsibility to pay attention to my body signals. It's my responsibility to use my innate intelligence. It's my responsibility to make the lifestyle changes that will bring desired vitality at any age. The responsibility is mine. The choice is mine. It's my choice to question the doctor and pharmacist about my condition, even if that labels me as a difficult patient. It's okay to be a difficult patient and ask questions. Difficult patients who want to take part in their own healing process tend to survive longer. Many people have found life-saving information on the internet. To quote Dr. FrankSabatino.com, vibrant health is within the reach of everyone who seeks it. His site provides articles, links to important health organizations, and educational and motivational products to help improve function and wellness at any age. Don't be a statistic. Health care is self-care. The choice is yours. To health. To God be the glory. Mr. Toastmaster.
I'd like to begin tonight with a little joke. This guy, he's a farmer. He says, "Hey, hello, sorry. But seriously, folks,
Speaking in public is no joke.
doctor says, chicken says,
For help, call Toastmasters, the public speaking support group.
the chicken.
Thanks, Don. I thought it might be fun to try something a little different today. What I would like to do is accost you as an investigative reporter who has dug up some fact from your background or something, and I'll sort of set it up for you and then let you do most of the talking. But I think it would be a lot of fun, give you an opportunity to sort of think on your feet, and so I will. We'll do that. We'll give that a try. So everyone, you don't necessarily have to admit to what I'm saying. You don't necessarily have to deny it, but you can sort of recouch it in your own terms. I think that's the best way to do it. So anyway, what we're going to do is you're walking down the street and you're accosted by this reporter who is going to tell you about your childhood. So welcome to 20 Minutes. I'm Dan Lather. Today, you'll be horrified at the dirt that we've managed to unearth. Let us begin. You are a politician running for office. An indiscretion from your childhood, shoplifting at age 12, has just surfaced. Nellie Bowen, would you come up here? Nellie, is it true that at age 12 you were arrested and taken to jail as a shoplifter in a local Walgreens?
Oh my goodness, I didn't think you would ever find that out. I have been trying to hide that all my life. How did you learn that?
Well, we were able to go back and look through the supposedly closed records. We have very good investigative reporters, and we found this, and I just don't understand how you can expect us to trust you as a politician with our money if you were able to do this as a 12-year-old.
Well, don't all politicians shoplift in one way or another? Don't they all steal money? Shh. Oh, I'm not supposed to admit that, though, am I, since I'm running for office? The others do this. I promise you, I will never, ever, well, not too often will I do this. But seriously, I do think we all have things in our past that we have tried to live down, we have tried to overcome. I believe I have. And I'm glad this has come out, seriously, because I want you to know me as I really am. And I was trying to make a joke of it earlier. But I will sincerely try to do an excellent job for you if you elect me. And let me run on the issues. And then, when it comes time to vote, tell me how you feel.
Thank you very much, Nellie Bowen. You are the president of a large multinational company. It's been found out that although you claim to employ only union workers, that a number of your products are produced in third world countries by child labor. Can you tell us about this, Ben Davis? Explain to us how you are able to get by with using child labor, 12 little 8-year-old kids producing soccer balls.
Well, what you don't understand, sir, is that they're actually very happy. They are union workers. It's a different union. It's the union of child workers, and basically they make sure that they have fair working conditions, no more than 14, 15 hours a day, that they have wages not less than at least 25 cents an hour or 15 cents per soccer ball that is stitched. So it's fair conditions. Now this sounds bad in a place where you minimum wage is over $5 an hour, but you don't understand that quarter will feed them for a good 15, 20, 30 minutes at least. So I think that you're just trying to compare apples to oranges, sir, and I really resent the fact that you're now digging back into my past. I, after all, am a humanitarian, and I have the awards to prove it. So you can just go ahead and go investigate something else now because my people are happy.
I don't know. You are the president of a drug company. Your best-selling drug, the one that's been keeping your company afloat, has been found to cause serious injury or death in most of the seriously ill patients that are treated with it. So, Joe Schwerling, would you come up here and explain how, as the president of this company, you can continue to manufacture this drug?
Thank you, Mr.
I'm Dan Lather. I'm Dan Lather.
50 years of lather, huh? In this world with the global economy that we have, the most important thing is to keep up production and monetary flow. And as long as we can keep producing something, it doesn't matter if there are detrimental side effects somewhere else. In fact, there are even advantages if some of the consumers in a different part of the world meet their demise. It not only increases the proportion of our population and our gross product that's going out, but we may also be able to export more coffins and the American funeral system. And getting back to my old standby of Toastmasters, if we can increase communications through Toastmasters, we have the opportunity to pass the information on about these potentially hazardous products, which are not mine, they're somebody else's. But so we can do what we can to promote humanity through Toastmasters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Joe Schwerling. I find that very disconcerting that you are willing to put off life like that. You're the head of an automobile parts manufacturing company. Unfortunately, your parts have been shown to wear out prematurely, leading to increased smog emissions when installed in certain cars. Mr. Don Gabriel, would you come up here and explain how you can be producing these inferior parts and foisting them off on the American public?
Well, I think that's a relative statement to call them inferior parts. We have a design life built into all our products to specifically last the time we designed it for. Now, it may be arbitrary in your mind how long that is. For us, though, we realize that if we can sell more of those, we make more monies. So a shorter life means that we'll be buying more and more. So instead of having parts that last 3 years or 4 years, and by which time you probably have already wrecked that car you've been driving or you've already traded it in, we decided to make our parts last 6 months. That way we can at least sell you the same part 6 times in a row before you turn it in. So that's just American business taking advantage of the American public in the good old traditional democracy way.
Again, very, very disconcerting, very disconcerting. You're the press secretary for a famous Hollywood celebrity who's just been arrested for the 4th time on drug charges after a successful television season. And I was just wondering, Carol Cormlin, could you explain this celebrity, why he cannot keep his nose clean after being in jail so many times?
Mr. Lather, that's a rather soapy question to ask me. Actually, you know that all movie stars have a double. And that was not me, it was my double. And I'm taking the heat for all this, and I don't think that is fair that people should blame me when it's my double that is doing all the work. I actually counsel people in how to get off drugs and help them. So I really resent that they associate me with my double.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. Finally, someone who's providing a moral light for our country. You're a spokesman for the Universal Church of Good Scripture and Light, whose founder and minister has been found to have embezzled a large sum of money from the coffers. I was wondering, Ladina, could you come up here? Ladina Wilkie, could you come up here and explain how your leader got away with embezzling all this money and putting people, poor people, into a serious situation? Yes.
As a spokesperson for the Universal Church of Good Scripture and Light, I want you to know that all these allegations are untrue. It was his double that was caught stealing large sums of money and who's now living pleasantly in Argentina. Our leader is still at the helm and still taking money for the good and contributing it to the poor. So please don't make any allegations that are not true. Thank you.
Well, again, I'm glad to hear that that you've been able to straighten that out, because I was really concerned about that. Thank you all for participating in our little scenario, and I would like to turn the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Don Gabriel. Don.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters Club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
So let's give a welcome to Joe Buell, and his top, oops, I forgot your title, Joe, is the Speaking from the Heart. Joe Buell, Speaking from the Heart.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. What is a vision? A vision is a mental picture of what an organization aspires to become. Some time ago, or well, several years ago really, it came to my attention that we are somehow or another missing the point in our speaking growth. We are challenging ourselves to become from good to better to best. But best is only a stationary place. As we grow, as we practice, suppose we have reached the best. We keep growing and keep practicing. And what's next? In this talk today, I'd like to suggest to you that we practice a different criteria for evaluating ourselves. Going from best to great to immortal. Now that has nothing to do with the illusion of immortality. I know that we all die. And I'm not making any bones about it, but we all know that we all die. But this is different. This is an immortality not of our person, but an immortality of what we give to the world while we are here, alive here in this world. We're going now from best to great to immortal. Now, is this possible? Can we be better than our best? Well, let's think a little bit about it. Do you remember the story of the regular story, boy meets girl? A boy looks at a girl. He winks an eye at her. There is a smile by her admission of his challenge or his daring. Then they meet, they date, and sometime later he declares his love. Sometime later he says, I love you. An immortal statement. Then he pops the immortal question, would you marry me? Now, I said immortal here, and some people say, well, this is not the kind of immortality. Yes, there is. Because it's an important, immortal statement and question. Does anybody here in the audience doubt that there is a spice of immortality in these phrases? And if there is a spice of immortality, does anybody doubt that the spice of immortality comes from speaking from the heart? Speaking from the heart. I don't think anybody doubts that. Let's examine other immortal statements from other people who have died, but his words pervade through history and therefore become immortal. How about John F. Kennedy's impassioned words? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. those immortal words were spoken with passion and conviction. Would anybody dare to ask or to say no, or to state no, those were not immortal words? Yes, they were immortal words. They were. As a matter of fact, it's been dead for several years, maybe more than 25 years. And still, those words remain for the rest of humanity to examine and study. How about a fellow that was mentioned by the other speaker, Sir Winston Churchill? With his speech to Parliament stating blood, sweat, and tears, as his famous blood, sweat, and tears speech, would it be the same if he had said hemoglobin, perspiration, and lacrimation? Absolutely not. It is the simple and universal power and the huffing and puffing simplicity that brought Churchill to a universal level. Not only by saving his country, but these words brought him immortality. Not him, his words. How about one wonderful fellow that we know in this country who wanted or had a dream that his children will play with other children without any harassment, without any problem or prejudice. It was Martin Luther King, of course, immortal final speech and his words. He had a dream. How about the fellow that was losing a war? His wife continuously told him, "You continue to persist on this war. Our child has died, and you still continue with it." But he persisted. He persisted. He had his courage to persist. And finally, from all these people I have selected tonight, we find a fellow that used to wear rags, walk in dirty sandals, but he became the greatest leader of the entire lot of mankind. Today, more than 2 billion people follow his prescription for living. And his prescription for living was love. And I believe you'll agree with me if I say these sayings of the teachings of this man became immortal. Why did all these people and all they have said became immortal? Why did they become immortal? The words. Because they spoke with passion and conviction. They were simple and universal. They spoke with the truth. They spoke with courage. And they spoke with love. In addition to that, they follow the prescription of old Socrates. Know yourself, and from know yourself, be yourself. You can't become or say any immortal words or anything that is useful to anybody if you are imitating someone. You got to be number one. Now, can you imagine the Pope imitating Hitler? Would he be regarded as the compassionate man he is? Absolutely not. So you can't go imitating. You got to be yourself. And you also have to ignore critics. Those are important. Because in this world, there is a series of people that are malignant narcissists. And they go around criticizing, not evaluating like we do here, but criticizing with malignant intentions. So ignore those. He ignored his critics. He ignored his critics. He ignored his critics. He ignored his critics. All of them ignore his critics and all his sayings because they have a vision for mankind, a vision that they thought it was correct. There you are. 7 steps for speaking from the heart. Oddly enough, there was one common denominator. Only single one common denominator, not only from these people that spoke in those days, but from all people that have spoken any immortal words in the history of man. And that single common denominator is they spoke with the heart. They spoke with the heart. They spoke what comes out of them. They weren't worried about these gestures, and they weren't worried really how they were dressed, or how well dressed they were. Of course, that's important for us. But they were natural themselves. They ignored their critics, and they knew for sure what their vision was. Today, it'll mark a milestone in your lives. I'll tell you why. Because from the usual way to growing from good to better to best, that is going to be all passé for you. From now on, you'll be thinking from best to great to immortal. And I don't know if you will ever become immortal or your words will become immortal. But now the change that kept you down to just plain best, a static best, is going to be a dynamic best. You're going to break those chains. Those chains are going to be broken from here on. And you'll be free to speak from the heart. Madame Toastmaster.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.
Now we'll get into the main speaking portion of our meeting today, and we'll be coming back with Steve Barinholtz to start. Again, Steve is an ATM bronze. His speech today is, "It's only me, and that's the best thing I can be." His speech is a Communication Leadership Manual speech number 10, Speaking to Inspire. So let's welcome Steve Barinholtz with "It's only me, and that's the best thing I can be."
Do you make a difference? Do you have those days where you feel like all you've done is fight fires? You wonder if there are any new knots that you can tie into the end of your rope so that you can hang on better? Do you feel like when you reach the end of the day that nobody cares, nobody notices, it really doesn't matter what you have tried to address throughout the course of the day? And tomorrow, you are going to go back and have more of the same? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guests, the fact is, people do notice. You do make a difference. You're just not aware of it. I had one of these days recently where I work. I had felt like all I did was fight fires, deal with unhappiness. I was wondering whether I would need to use a depilatory or whether I would have torn all my hair out already. I went home and looked at my email that evening. I don't do that real often. Usually let it pile up for a couple of days before I check my email. But there was one message that had been forwarded to me. The title line went, "I thought this simple little test had merit." Normally you just delete the stuff that's forwarded to you, but I decided to open it up and look at it. It went something like this. It had two parts. The first part was, Name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. Name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. Name the last 5 Miss America contest winners. Name the last 6 Best Actor or Actress winners for the Academy Awards. Name the last 10 people who won the Nobel or Pulitzer Prize. Name the last decade's worth of World Series winners. You probably say, oh, well, what's the point? I don't really care about all these things. I didn't do very well myself on this quiz. The point is, yesterday's headliners are soon forgotten, and yet none of them are second-rate. These people are all first in their class. But the applause dies, the awards tarnish, achievements are forgotten. Accolades and certificates are buried with their owners. You probably wonder, well, so where are you going with this? There was a second part to this quiz. You probably do a little better on this. I did. Name a few teachers who aided your journey through school. Name 3 friends who helped you through a difficult time. Name some people who have made you feel appreciated and special. Name 5 people you enjoy spending your time with. Name 6 heroes whose stories have inspired you. Now, I did a lot better with this part. I hope you did too. But what's the point here? The point is, these people cared, the people you thought about, notice, but it's not headline news. It can be very personal, deeply meaningful, and may not be something that is that conspicuous, may not be readily noticed. In fact, you can make a difference and aren't even aware of it. You may not find out for some time. Recently, my mother gave me a folder of papers that she had collected while I was growing up. One of these folders that has everything in it from your first grade report card and other materials. I was going through it and I came upon a letter that struck me as another example of someone who cares, and yet it wasn't something that's heralded in the news. It was written on company letterhead. It's dated May 29th, 1956. It goes like this. Dear Henry, I'm sorry I haven't had an opportunity before now to acknowledge receipt of your letter of May 14th, but immediately after receipt of it, I left for the Chicago Radio Parts show and have just now returned. Frankly, it was Mrs. Hyman's and my pleasure to be able to send your little fellow, Stephen, the Monarch bike, and I hope it is able to accomplish for him as much as our gifts to other people have accomplished for them, insofar as correcting the damage this ugly disease of polio has left. But which can be so well corrected if it is attended to early and consistently kept at until it is corrected. I look forward with a great lot of pleasure, Henry, to saying hello to you the next time I'm in Milwaukee. In the meantime, I sincerely hope your little fellow can regain use of every facility that was his prior to his having been the victim of what is truly one of the scourges of children. And it was signed with kindest personal regards, Jack, of Jack Hyman Company. This is another example of someone who cared, someone who's making a difference. But it's not headline news. It's not something that's going to be acclaimed widely. You may feel that you're not extraordinary, that the things you do don't necessarily make that much of a difference, that people don't notice. But the fact of the matter is, you are wrong. It's often the little things that matter the most. And something else, if you want to really be good to yourself, let one of these people know that has made a difference in your life, that they have made a difference. You might be surprised at how well that's received, and you'll feel better about it too. It's only me, and that's one of the best things that I can be. Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Steve.
Today. For the most part, everyone did very well with that. We have good attendance. We've had 2 speakers today. We had a good table topics. We had word of the day, a joke. I feel overall this has been a very good meeting, and I encourage you to continue. Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, for that insightful education today. I would like to thank everyone for being here today. Your gift of time and your cooperation made this a delightful meeting, and I like it better when we have more people in attendance. I would like to thank everyone again, and I will now return control of the meeting to our president, Rick Davis.
Thank you, Carol. Very good job. Thank you very much. I would like to invite everyone to our next meeting, which is November 4th, Monday, is that correct? At 6 o'clock at the 6:30, I'm sorry, at the Kenwood Church. And then the following meeting here will be November 16th at 9:30 a.m. So welcome, and thank you all for coming, and we will see you next time.